All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first episode of the Drakecast. I'm joined by my friend Jason, who is
sexy as usual,
pretty much useless, and joined by my good friend Hall.
Yes, sir.
They'd wait till at least the second episode to realize that one. Thanks. Oh, I didn't know we were synchronized.
Yep, you shouldn't have taken a
drink. Yeah, shouldn't have taken that drink. So, before we get started, I just want to mention that we have a new toy, and that's the Gen 5 Glock.
It's a good one.
Which is like, if you had the strongest selling handgun in the world, and you were like, I want to innovate, but not a lot.
Not too much.
Like,
because then what are we going to do later?
Baby steps.
It's kind of like how new cars are going to throwbacks.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of a throwback without the finger grooves, which I personally like.
The first gens didn't have...
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they also dropped a pin, I believe, on the Gen 5. It's instead of the 3-pin takedown, it's like 2 or 1, I believe.
I'm not sure.
I didn't. See, for me, the only thing I like that's like, this is a big deal to me is the ambidextrous slide stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can just your index can access it. But it does have a flared magwell, which to me is like, is it really? It looks like it. They thought about it, but it's not like a flare, like I thought it was.
No,
it's just kind of like a joke.
Very, very small.
But you have to get a little closer, I'm sure, or you can just move that out there. Either way, but yeah, it's not.
Every little bit helps.
I don't think it's impressive.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with it.
But I don't think it's going to help anything outside of not having it.
I can't believe they didn't do front side serrations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like what everyone's doing to them, So if you were like, I want to sell more of these, it seems like they would have said, let's do front side serrations.
Why would they bust their load all at once?
So like the Gen 7 is going to be when they introduce that. But anyway, lots to talk about for the first episode here. I want to talk about, you want to jump into bench warrants right now?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
So, South Carolina Supreme Court has announced some pretty significant opinions, I'll call them at this point.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to get too much into the technical aspect of it, but for those of you that don't know what a bench warrant is, if you get a ticket, any charge that's on a ticket, like a speeding ticket or whatever,
Possession, drug
paraphernalia, it could be drug paraphernalia, it could be marijuana. You have a court date, and you also have a fine. You have to pay that fine or show up to the court date, and then probably pay the fine if you're guilty or whatever. And if you don't show up and you don't pay the fine, they issue a bench warrant for your arrest. Mm-hmm. That is, and this is a quote. Well, this is not a quote, but that has been deemed a racist process.
Well, also with a bench warrant, if you make bond on a small charge and you don't
come to court, right?
So even greater offenses other than just a ticket. If you were arrested post bond and released, then and you don't show up, you still.
Correct. That is also a bench warrant. But that process has been deemed racist. Okay, and this is coming from Donald Beatty, who is the Chief Justice in the South Carolina Supreme Court. And the direct quote, he said that we're creating a system, and this is, quote, a debtor prison for African Americans, end quote. And that's what I want to talk about, not so much the process. Now, however, it is worth mentioning that if no legislators get in the way of this and it goes through, it's going to create some problems in law enforcement. So now, if I'm a cop and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to pull someone over for speeding, 30 miles an hour over the speed limit, but you know what? If I write them a ticket, they might not come to court and they might not pay the fine. So I'm just going to take you to jail, and you can get a bond there. So that's what could happen.
Yeah,
it's probably going to create a buffer where the cops say, well, this is a warning, so you're going to be able to get away with a little bit more with warnings. And then at a certain point, it's just going to be like, we're arresting you.
Well, and what's the point of even issuing the warnings?
Well, I mean,
cops are going to get tired of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you learn I can drive 10 miles over the speed limit, which, let's be honest, most people do about 5'10" over. But you now know you have at least 5 or 10 over.
5 or 10.
Yeah,
25, whatever. Or say 20. Say, 30 is the limit. People are going to be taken to jail at 30. Well, I can drive 20 miles over the speed limit.
That's so good.
And so what's the point of having speed limits?
Yeah,
really.
Well, you're right. Like I said, I think there's it's going to create a dead man zone where they just where they raise their tolerance a little bit, but if you're over that, straight to jail.
Yeah, it's too black and white.
Yeah,
it leaves little to judgment.
But, I mean, if I was an officer on the street, it's like, well, if I can't enforce it, because what's the point of a warning? Yeah. Next time you get caught doing this, there's going to be more serious repercussions. Well, if I know next time I pull the same person over, or let's be honest, they could pull away from me and continue traveling at the same rate of speed, and I'm not going to be able to do anything more than just give them another warning. I look like a fool.
Yeah. Well,
so what's the point?
Yeah, you're right. Or you arrest them. But and just to show you how bad this is, because it sounds pretty far fetched. A major county in the upstate, I think we can say it at this point, but Anderson County has thrown out every single bench warrant they have on file. They throw them in the trash. So this is how bad it is. This is how real it is. So this
did the fines go away?
They don't exist anymore. So there's a bunch of people that had warrants for their arrest, and they don't have warrants for their arrest. So
there's rejoicing up in Anderson County.
It looks like Greenville County might be headed there. And this guy, Donald Beatty, this Justice Beatty, he has basically threatened to jail judges that continue to issue bench warrants. And there's so many days to comply. And I don't want to get into too much of that, because the issue I have is he's calling this a racist. This is institutional racist. And this is the same opinion, if you watched Joe Rogan, where he had that Baltimore police officer, the guest. Did you see that? So he brought on a guy, Michael A. Wood. He came on the Joe Rogan, and this guy was a former police officer in Baltimore. And he was talking about this too. He said that, I was, contributed to institutional racism. And, hey, Chloe, how you doing?
Yep.
But, this idea that the system we have is racist is really disturbing to me on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Number one, I think to assume that police who actually work in these neighborhoods, who actually have to be effective at their job and be able to interview and interact with people, and the claim that they're racist is usually coming from these people living in ivory towers.
Yeah.
And you're going to expect me to believe that the cops are the racist ones? We're actually having to, take calls from this community, and we're racist.
Yeah.
I take issue with that. Pretty good.
Well, like you were saying, that Baltimore cop admitted and while enforcing policies, he actively participated in institutional racism.
Right. But his example of that was arresting people that were breaking laws.
Yeah. And we talked about it. And from day one in law enforcement, you're taught integrity, ethics. Without that, you have nothing. And you're taught that you follow a direct order. And I believe, you were former military, so you probably taught this also. You're to follow direct order unless it's unethical, immoral, or illegal. And if it meets any of those three criteria, you have the obligation not to follow that order.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this officer, if he believed at the time he was actively participating in institutional racism, regardless if it was the law, or regardless of what, he had the obligation not to do it.
Yeah.
And to report it to a higher up.
He apparently was a supervisor too. So he not only did it, but he flourished in that environment.
And probably ordered others. So,
and I'm not saying, by the way, that I think that Baltimore police are racist. I'm saying I think he has a skewed... I'm trying not to do a personal attack on him. Listening to his opinion made me go absolutely insane for a lot of reasons. But
I'll personally attack him. He's an idiot.
Yeah, well, the claim of institutional racism, he basically said that, we arrest someone because they have drugs, and then they, get their license suspended or they lose their job, and it creates all these other problems, which is true. However, it started with they broke a law, and when you say, well, when you have a law about drugs, you're targeting a certain demographic, I don't believe that. That's like saying all people of this ethnicity engage in drugs, and that's not true. Right. It's a bold-faced lie. Mm-hmm. That is actually a racist claim. Right. And then you're saying, well, when you can play the numbers game, and there are cultural and differences in people, but it's not 100%. It's not even, in my opinion, a majority. Mm-hmm. But to say that it's racist, it's just like
pretty out there.
You broke a law. I mean, that's that simple. And then if there are problems, and we talked about this, it's probably not on the law enforcement end of things.
Right.
It's judicial. It's legislative. I know I learned back in the 80s when cocaine and crack were real popular. They made it a felony. Legislators made it a felony possession of crack cocaine. But it was a misdemeanor to possess cocaine. And why was that? Well, the laws were written by lawyers. And what was the drug of choice of lawyers at the time?
Cocaine.
Was cocaine. If they got caught with a felony, then they would have been disbarred and everything else. Yeah. So they gave themselves a loophole. And honestly, at the time, what was crack?
Yeah.
The choice of it was for lower incomes, and because it was cheaper. And so, it was.
But is that the cop's fault?
No, it's not the cop's fault. The cop is trying to get drugs off the street regardless. Now, it's not his fault that one carries a higher penalty than the other. And that's where you go. It's the legislature. And then that goes back to voting. And when you find out that people are doing that, you need to vote them out.
This is where another real big problem, a critique I've heard of law enforcement. They say, well, you know that. You know those laws are set up, so you should keep that in mind when you're arresting people. That's a little crazy. Like, I'm out there on the streets, and I'm supposed to be thinking about your future.
Yeah.
So you decide to break a law, and then while I'm arresting you for breaking that law, I need to take into consideration, and we do to a degree, especially with juveniles.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with juveniles, we take that into consideration. We try not to arrest them, but at a certain point, in my opinion, at a certain point, it needs to fall to the legislators, and not be kind of in other words, you can't blame everything on the cops that are actually policing the streets. And to me, that's just crazy. But that guy brought up all kinds of points. He even said at one point he looked forward to shooting people. I'm paraphrasing, but he looked forward to the opportunity to shoot someone. He was hoping that a knife-wielding subject wouldn't put the knife down so he could shoot him. Yeah. And when they, Joe Rogan's over there like, man, I'm so honest. It's so great seeing a guy come on here and answer these questions honestly. And I'm like, this guy's a psycho. It's like, this guy's crazy.
Listen, wanting to kill someone is a psychopathic tendency.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I was in the military when I was trained from day one to kill people, and like, that's what I do. And I was like, what? This guy's not speaking for cops. And again, maybe Baltimore's just like overflowing with bad cops, but I don't believe that. And the other thing, I'll say this. There is a problem that has brought this change in bench warrants about, and it's not the problem of racism. It is a real problem though. So apparently in other parts of the state, I've never seen this firsthand. When I've seen people come in for let's say a drug paraphernalia charge, just over $1,000 ticket, you come into court, let's say have a bench trial, and you're found guilty. Okay, so the judge says, okay, I'm gonna find you guilty. You owe the $1,000 for the ticket. Mm-hmm. Do you have the money to pay? And you say, well, I got $500. And the judge says, okay, 30 days in jail. Bye. He doesn't give you a chance to pay. Like, there's no payment plan. My experience has been there's a payment plan, there's a reduction of the fine, something. So apparently in other parts of the state, that is how it was that simple. It was like, oh, you don't have it, no problem, bye, you're going to jail. And that's a problem. That's wrong.
That's crazy.
I'm not defending that. That is a true issue. Right. But the answer is not to throw out the process of bench warrants, because that's like Now think about how that's going to affect. Already like hit and run is really hard to deal with. If a guy hits your car and leaves the scene, that's really hard for us to do. Already people running from us. Like if you're in a municipality that can't pursue people for every little crime.
Yeah.
When a guy just drives away, it's almost, I'm not saying impossible, but it's really difficult to bring a charge on that person.
Well, how would they regulate, like, people not paying fines?
They would.
So, if you don't come to your court date,
So I just wow out,
Right,
not pay anything.
yeah, if you let's say you get a speeding ticket,
As long as you got money for bail.
yeah, you get a speeding ticket, you come to court, or you don't come to court. They set up a meeting for you to come to court to see if there is cause to issue a bench warrant. If you don't show up to that meeting, they just do away with it.
So if you ignore it long enough,
Eventually, they're just going to stop giving people bail.
Yeah, though that's the fear is eventually the cops stop writing tickets because they know they're not going to be honored, and then they stop giving bail. Of course, well, they got to give bail for some things, but at least then they're getting some money from you.
Yeah.
And usually bail at that point is what the fine's going to be, and that's what's going to happen. Is for every little thing, they're going to come to jail, and then you'll be given the bond of the fine amount. So that way, even if you show up to court, and I guarantee you they won't reduce the fines then. And they'll just hold your solid the whole bail.
Some places will. Like where my experience again is they're not really looking for. Like, that's another ludicrous example when people say that cops are just out there collecting money for the state. Do you know how much money a cop car costs? Okay, the cop wrecks it and they fix it. How much his equipment cost? How much his radio alone cost? His gun, his training, his pay, his salary. All these things that a cop costs the department. It probably doesn't even. Now, granted, every now and then a cop gets like a massive drug bust, cash bust, it makes the department a few $100,000, but that's rare. Most cops cost their departments. That's a crazy idea, but that's also another claim against this racist community is that we're just out there trying to make money for our municipality. But I think the same departments that are not letting you make a payment plan are probably the ones that are going to say you got to pay the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think, because like you said, it's the Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, and he's looking to make examples of any magistrate level judge that continues against his opinion. I do believe that it'll get to where, again, you'll have to post bail, which is generally, from what I've seen, the full amount of the fine, and then when you go to court and plead guilty or you're found guilty or whatever, they're just going to keep your whole bail in lieu of payment and not reduce the fine any. And it's just going to be, because it's like, well, want to give them any money back, they've already paid it, and it's going to be too hard to keep track of all that cash anyway.
Yeah.
So I think they'll just do away with it, and they're less likely to lower the fine. So it's going to backfire, and it's going to make it worse all the way around.
Definitely.
The pendulum's going to swing way further, and it's going to hurt more people than help.
Yeah, because now there's no, not incentive, but to pay your fines for your crimes. So just do whatever you want and don't worry about it.
Where do you so you're leaving the state. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, I'm moving to Colorado in January.
Why are you moving to Colorado?
Mostly to just kind of
be able to smoke weed legally.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
He
Is
wants to
is
be
that
a
it?
hippie.
I will say that it is a pro. Okay.
Hippie.
Well, I don't really enjoy alcohol as much as others.
Okay.
Okay. I enjoy smoking weed more.
Okay.
It's more fun to me.
Not that you've done that anytime.
No, not currently, no.
But
I visited Colorado.
did you?
Yes.
Hey, tell me this. I gotta ask this. So I talked to two people from Colorado.
Yeah.
They have both told me that they were talking about the weed, and they said that it's really cool, but it's kind of obnoxious at a certain point. Like they said that there's times where it's just people on the streets, but it's like almost like inconsiderate. I guess.
Experience that really, like walking around, because it is illegal to do it in public.
But I've heard that it happens.
I'm sure it does. But I didn't really walk by people like smoking.
Okay.
So it's legal to do it, but it's illegal to do it in public?
Yeah, and it's illegal, there's no establishments where you can do it either. So you can't go to a weed bar. Because I guess the way that they regulate that is with the clean air regulations that they have.
Yeah.
But on the same note, there are cigar bars that aren't held to the same regulation. Yeah. So it's kind of wish-washy. From what I understand, you basically you can do it, but it has to be in private, in your own home.
Maybe because
now it doesn't have to be municipal. It doesn't have to be for medics. I mean, you can just do it.
No, it's recreational. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say different counties don't do recreational, but they do medical.
Okay.
So you would have to have a medical card to buy it in certain counties, whereas other counties are both.
So, I mean, it would just mean where you had to buy it from.
Yeah. So, if I lived in... Because I guess where I visited in Lakewood, that county is just medical. But if you go over one county towards Denver, in Cherry Creek area, there's dispensaries all over the place.
Okay. And so you can buy it there, and you can legally transport it back to your home.
Yes. I don't know the laws about that. I think it's the same as open container laws. So you can't you can't just have it in your lap.
Right.
It's got to be within an arm's distance of the driver.
But I guess what charge would it be?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Probably I don't know. Because you would think that they would have to create new.
Kind of like we have it's not against law to have a beer, but it's against law to have an open container of beer. So yeah. Okay.
Probably similar.
So what you were talking about going to school, and then you're like maybe not.
Well, so I was going to go to school for gunsmithing. One of the best gunsmithing schools in the nation's out there.
What is it?
Colorado School of Trades, or something like that.
Okay.
It's a 14-month program straight, and it's good. But I don't kind of like how if you like to work on cars but fix them up and make them awesome, you don't really want to be a mechanic. Because then you're just swapping out people's brakes, you're changing oil. Yeah. So I don't know if I want to spend the time to learn to be a gunsmith and just end up fixing people's guns.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So do you have a counter plan to that? Are you going to try to get into some kind of modification field? Or
not at the moment. I thought about maybe going for CNC machining or machine shop type of stuff. Learn how to work a mill and a lathe.
Mm-hmm. So you can actually fabricate.
So I can do whatever I want.
Right.
I can cut slides if I want. I mean, that's provided if I get a CNC machine, which they're $15,000. But I could, you can get little mini mills for $500 and
a mini CNC machine.
It's a manual mill. You have to turn it, but you can convert it into a CNC machine and do slide cuts and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
It's badass.
Yeah. So maybe I'll get into that.
So the Hall Tech is not necessarily dead.
No, I might start making holsters again too. I don't know.
I think we should. So Hoplite, shout out to him. Made 2 holsters for me. Real good stuff. But I think we should do pro wrestling and you should talk shit about him. And because you're coming back one day. Hall Tech will return.
To reclaim the belt.
He's a really cool guy from what I've met of him.
Yeah, he's nice.
And I will say this though, he made my current holster, and it's real good by the way for the Jericho, and he made Ashland's double carrier. So it's hot. Girl wearing appendix gear.
Yeah.
So all the girls on Instagram are showing off their
crotch. Yeah.
Right. They're showing off their
really cool.
Yeah. So, with that said, he's sending me pictures of her process. The process when he's making them.
Yeah.
So he sends me
very nice, dude.
a picture that ruins my.
Yeah. Every time.
Yeah. Every time I picture her, I see her wearing it. I picture like him.
You want to be like, ooh, yeah, like that's cool.
So I gotta tell it, but he's an awesome dude. And
He's cool.
He took the time to get my first one right, big time, because I was like super picky. I was like, it's got to have this, it's got to have this, and he took the time and he got it right. But so anyway, if you need a holster, make sure you check out Hoplite Holsters on Instagram, and if you follow the Drakecast, we comment on a lot of people's or each other's stuff, so pretty easy to find. But that's that. So you're going to be a pothead.
Yeah.
And
hippie living in a commune.
God, you're such a hippie, bro.
I know, it's awesome.
You're such a hippie.
I know. So
get back into rock climbing.
Smelled the faint scent of patchouli.
Rock climbing is the quickest thing you can lose. I've said that before.
Yeah, dude.
It is.
I haven't climbed in like maybe a year, but I was climbing. So on a scale of like 5.0 to 5. Right now, I think it's like 5.15D or something. Like recent, it's like retarded hard climbing. Well, I was climbing like 5.11s, high like 5.10s.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, we got memberships to the gym down the road. 5.6, and I'm like struggling. I'm like sweating. Like it's bad.
Yeah. I've always liked bouldering more. Just go inside. I don't know what it is, man. I just don't like dealing with it.
Bouldering takes a lot more strength.
It's because I'm stronger.
You're very strong.
Dude.
My average is around 5.14s.
He has no idea. You don't even know what we're talking about, do you?
I'm just saying, you know.
Well, it's how the you probably know more about that than I do. It's just how they.
Well, the
5.12
is the vertical.
Long hot dog.
That means the vertical. Because there are other type. It's not like rock climbing, but like hiking.
Like
there would be different
those,
grades.
right?
Well, it only goes up to 5 right now.
Well,
and that's vertical and like backwards.
Okay.
So the 5 like point whatever, that's the difficultness of the route, and it's really subjective. So
like you climb it and you say that felt like a.
Yeah, basically whoever put up the route grades it whatever he feels it was, based off of like complexity of moves.
You'd be fucking with people.
Dude,
you'd be like,
it's a 5.15, dude.
Or you'd make it super hard.
Easy.
It'd be a super hard course, and you'd be like, "Oh, it's 5.2."
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like maybe.
Maybe I don't know. It's so easy.
I want to be a wimp about it.
But
yeah, Colorado's gonna be awesome. It was I felt like an underage kid at trying to get into a bar when I went to the dispensary.
Because you just didn't know the lay of the land.
Yeah, kind of. And you walk in to the right. There's like the security guard, like checking IDs, because you got to be over 21.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's 21.
Yeah. I'm pulling out my ID, like shaking, like giving it to him, like, here you go.
Oh, bro.
I'm 20. I'm totally 21. Like, but then like you walk in and there's like these pedestals on each side, right? Like up and down the store with iPads with the strain of weed that it was, and like THC content, CBD content, like pros, cons, like it's gonna make you feel like this. It was remarkable.
And some of them are they're like Apple stores. They're like high tech.
Yeah.
Some of them are, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
So, quick question: move to Colorado, gonna get back into rock climbing. When's the likelihood of us seeing you appear on American Ninja Warrior?
Probably never.
Oh, come on, man.
Bro, you should so do it.
Dude, I love that show.
I might do it. It looks pretty fun.
Because most people, the ones that do the best are the rock climbers.
Yeah, or like the gymnasts, if there are any.
Well, they are usually small in stature, and so they have trouble on more the distance.
Yeah.
But it's grip strength, and with the rock climbing, that's where
it's at.
Where it's at. So you've got the length.
Pretty tall.
So I've heard.
Tall.
And yes, height wise.
Dark and handsome.
Wingspan.
The length.
How you know his
He's got length? What do you know about my length?
I've read the bathroom wall. So, but you know, and you're working on improving your grip strength. I would love to see. I mean, we've had,
I'm working on my length and my grip strength.
Yeah, bro. He's got.
So you know,
he's long and strong.
And bound to get the American Ninja Warrior on.
Getting the friction on.
All right, so good news. We talked briefly about it. It was actually horrible news. I was about to say that. Horrible news about the shooter in Texas. However, he was stopped by a lawful gun-carrying citizen with an AR-15.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Which is... there was another AR-15 home invasion times 3, and the guy killed all 3 of them with an AR-15.
It was a kid, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was
he was like, no,
like 16.
Okay, there's 2 then.
Yeah.
Because one of them was like a 21-year-old guy. He killed
okay.
3 people with an AR-15. And one was a kid, and then this one. So that's 3 in recent history with AR-15s. And now, the gunman, I believe, was using an AR-15 in this situation, too. But and he was legally obtained them, but he should not have been legal. Explain that.
From what I understand. So, like, he was dishonorably discharged from the Air Force. On top of that, he was...
Does that automatically...
Yes.
Okay.
But on top of that, he was court-martialed for domestic violence. Like, that's why he got dishonorably discharged. And any crime, misdemeanor, or otherwise that involves domestic violence disqualifies you from buying a firearm, too. But the Air Force, I guess, forgot to report these crimes to the FBI, which they're... required to do. So when
no law could have improved
No,
this.
because when you buy a firearm, background check goes through the FBI. If the FBI doesn't have any knowledge of the crimes, they don't stop the sale.
Right.
So
if everyone had done what they were supposed to do, this guy would not have been able to buy that gun legally.
Legally, no.
Okay. That makes sense to me. It's a good point. I'm very glad to see that there was an armed citizen who had the Constitution and the tools to stop that guy.
But let's be honest, he still could have shot him with a musket loader.
Did you see where where the news tried to make it sound like it was a shotgun at first? The early reports where he stopped him with a shotgun.
Really?
Not true. It was an AR-15. So.
Wait. You're saying that news reported an inaccurate fact?
Bro, I just posted this.
Shut your mouth.
I just posted this about the MSNBC.
Dude, they're off the chart.
MSNBC posting.
They're not calling nobody a snowflake.
Yeah, so they said snowflake was a code word for person of color, which is like they're basically. What was the other one? It was like a Jew. There was like a weird Jew. Hold on a second.
I don't know what that means actually. I think it was
Sneaky Jew or something like that?
SJWD, or something like that. It's like acronym.
Hold on. All right, so snowflake means person of color. SJW means
stingy Jew.
Stingy Jew. A cuck means lover of a fat woman. Jesus Christ. Trap. Hot girl I want to rape.
Oh my
God.
Nobody's listened to rap music in the past.
I'm blown away, man. This is the low because they know it's full. That is the lowest. They're off the grid, man.
Well, MSNBC is not taken serious by anyone.
Well, I heard CNN and
No.
MSNBC were both like their ratings are so low. Like their total viewership is almost nothing. Yeah. They don't make money from advertisement anymore. They make money from these other donations and things like that, like political stuff. It's really deep.
Sounds like the NFL in the future.
Dude, fuck the NFL.
Yeah, it's because they're in the Democrats.
Okay, SJW stands for Social Justice Warrior.
You knew that, right?
No.
You didn't know that?
No, that's why I was like, well, they could mean freaking stingy Jew. I don't know.
It's Social Justice Warrior.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, if you're a Social Justice Warrior, you're a little Jew, too.
Yeah, so this says good guy with a gun. Stephen Wilford. Mm-hmm. That's the man who shot the Texas shooter with an AR-15 and stopped him. You mentioned the NFL earlier.
I did.
And they made Robert Griffin III wear his T-shirt inside out because it said
something about Jesus.
Now, no Jesus, no peace is what his shirt said.
As in intellectual,
yeah, know him. And then in the inside it says like no, like N-O. Yeah. Like in other words, if no Jesus, you'll have no peace.
Side says,
and they made him wear that shirt inside out. I know that I'm way out of there when it comes to my opinions on the NFL, but I think they are completely morally bankrupt, and they have been for a very long time. And I don't even care about the whole kneeling thing. I mean, I do care about it, but
like, whatever.
I was hating the NFL before it was cool. That's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, I was. I am the original gangster when it comes to hating the NFL. I absolutely despise them. I mean, but anyway, not to go too much into that, but I thought it was pretty interesting that.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it, and they say the kneeling is the First Amendment speech. Okay. I could go with that. I think it's ridiculous, but I could go with that if it wasn't for a situation with RG3, making him turn his shirt inside out. That's his freedom of speech, freedom of religion.
But when was he doing it?
At a news
conference.
Press conference
because at that point, like, you're employed by
but when there's
the NFL.
When are the kneeling?
That's what I'm saying. All of it shouldn't be allowed because...
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to allow one, and they're saying, well, we have a history of supporting the First Amendment, well, then you look back and no, they don't have a history.
It's got to be all
They're infringing other people's First Amendment. Also, look at Tebow. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think the NFL didn't force him to stop kneeling in prayer, but they told him to stop it. They tried to force him to stop it. The media ridiculed him for kneeling in private, really. You know, just right before a game, take a kneel, or after a touchdown.
He wasn't coming out on the field, was he? Like, he was doing it like on the sidelines, right? Like,
yeah, it wasn't, and he wasn't doing it to make an issue. He was just doing it. You know, just, hey, I'm going to pray before the game, or I do an amazing play. He might kneel and say a quick prayer, praise and thank you, but it wasn't to garner him attention.
Yeah,
and this is what the kneelers are doing: is they're garnering attention to themselves. Like I told someone, I was like, if you really wanted social justice, if that's what this protest was for, how many of these people are out marching on their own time? Are doing anything in the community besides holding these sport camps once a year to try and improve anything?
Right.
I'm sorry, teaching a kid how to throw a football better
one
day a year isn't helping anything.
Oh no!
You have the Boys and Girls Clubs, or you have these night basketball leagues that are getting kids off the street.
Not the NFL.
No, they're not doing it. But these other people, you're getting kids off the street, giving them something to do 365 days a year to keep them out of trouble, to keep them away from gangs. I support that 100%. Mm-hmm. But you're going to be a big old baby and say, I'm going to kneel and get attention to myself. That's BS.
Well, I love it when they'll build a Habitat for Humanity house and they'll wear their jersey. They'll go out there and drive a few nails. Like, look at me, I'm not beating my wife. I just can't, I can't handle the NFL. I think NFL games are great because they're off the streets while they're playing the games. That's like the only benefit to an NFL game.
Yeah, but then
you take all those felons and you put them in one place at one time.
But then you're flying in abusers to other parts of them.
Right, yeah. They're traveling.
So
hey, listen.
I'm sure the crime rate spikes.
They're going to be on the street. But you brought something, the social justice word. So social justice. Jordan Peterson was talking about, he's a guy I watch on YouTube a lot. He's talking about how important language is and how important definitions are. And when you take something like a word like justice, which is inherently a good thing, and then you put another word in front of it, you're actually distorting it. So you're taking. So what is social justice? Well, it's not justice. it's not that. And we were talking about PC culture and how words matter, man. That's my problem with a lot of people use the word harassment now, and
such a subjective term.
It's not though. That's the thing. It should not. It is, but it should not be. Like harassment. Like I've dealt with harassment. Okay. I've seen it tear families apart. That's a big deal. Harassment. Rape is, of course, a massive deal, but we're taking words like harassment and we're just making them fit, whatever
where you want them,
wherever we want it to be, and it's.
Well,
he looked at me for longer than 2 seconds, like
it's harassment.
As a culture, people nowadays are overdramatic.
Yes,
and so and we're uneducated as a whole. So instead of knowing the proper word to describe it and knowing people and have people know what we mean.
Like for length instead of height?
Yes.
Good example.
But we just jump to a word of a higher degree, and it also makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, we're
right. Getting that attention that we want.
We're amplifying the reaction people get. Yeah,
and so it waters down the meaning of that word, so that whenever it is used correctly, people don't take it as seriously. It's the boy who cried wolf syndrome, where you say this, a girl can say, well, I was raped by so and so, and then when it comes down to it, oh no, well, he didn't. He just tried to kiss me, and I didn't want it. Well, granted, shouldn't kind of kiss a girl who doesn't want to be kissed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes away from the shitbags. So here's the reality. There's shitbags that are doing things they shouldn't be doing, but we can't sift through it all because the waters get so muddied with this misuse of language. And then on top of that, we were talking about PC anyway. And I used to think this was pretty juvenile. A new guy starts a job, and all the other people pick on it. Mm-hmm. Really, there's a lot of that's evolution. We have learned throughout hundreds of years to test men, to test each other.
Yeah.
When you start a new job, you will be tested, and it's to find out how your constitution, basically.
Yeah.
In the military, would you not say that was an extremely...
Oh, yeah.
Like, how's it... I know hazing's like against the rule, but how does it happen now? Like, when you start a new unit or,
It's more just like... kind of like testing your knowledge. I mean, this is like job dependent, of course, but testing your knowledge in your job, one, or two, just knowledge, well, in the Marine Corps anyway, it's pretty...
But they're going to rag you.
Oh, yeah. If you get it wrong, I mean, like, you're doing push-ups, like, you're doing something.
But what about... not the institutional part, but I mean your peers. Do your peers test you? When you're new in it, like, let's say you're the new guy.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Sort of the same way, but they just, like... That's a harder one to answer.
But it does happen, though, right?
Yeah, but it's more like... Because when you get there, or when you get to your unit, like, fresh out of the schoolhouse or whatever.
Yeah. A newborn baby boy.
Newborn baby deer. Okay. Your peers, like, let's say same rank as you, you are kind of the same.
Right.
So you're not necessarily going to test each other because you're being tested by the ones that rank above you.
The ones that will not be named.
The ones who will not be named. But yeah, so it's kind of more like, because I mean you have corporals that are like right there.
Yeah.
They're with you every day, and they're the ones that are kind of like doing the testing. If that makes sense. Depending on where you go, because when I got to the fleet, I was a PFC. So like there were lance corporals that would like try to push me around.
Yeah.
And like do that same stuff that like corporals and sergeants would do, but. It didn't work. I was like, shut up.
Did you bogard them?
Yes.
It happens where we used. I mean,
another story. My brother was in the Marines, and he spent time in Guantanamo Bay before becoming a detention facility. It was pre 9/11. He was Lance Corporal. He got promoted down there, and he was. He had a shadow, which was someone new to the island, new to the base, and he's having them show the ropes. Well, they're on a manned observation post, and they have different orders that they had to recite when they're relieving and being relieved. And some of them are longer, and they're supposed to say them, perfectly and everything like that. Well, this one new guy was having trouble remembering. So, my brother made him run up and down the steps. Every time he got it wrong, he had to run down.
Until he remembered.
And it was like 3 stories, Run down, run back up, say it again. No, you're wrong. Do it again. Now, one of the sergeants over him found out about it. and my brother got talked to, and he got like a
counseling
letter. It was one of those it wasn't a write-up as most jobs would have.
We're concerned.
But it's a letter of concern type thing. And because it was considered hazing. Now.
Shit.
And my brother's like, okay, I didn't think of it that way. Now, the sergeant told him, honestly, he goes, now listen, he didn't complain about it. I guess he was talking about it. And he goes, and he said, and he answered honestly that one post orders was the only one he could remember fully, and it was the longest one they had to learn. Mm-hmm. He said, so my brother actually was helping him. And, I mean, you got to do something to reinforce, because, I mean, you could say it over and over 15 times, but you're not going to have the encouragement to remember it. But running up and down 3 flights of stairs 15 times going to make you remember.
Well, okay, in on the road,
yeah,
it's very common for an FTO to... I should explain. Back from the time you're sent to the academy to the time you finish FTO, your life is kind of like a big shit sandwich, you know, and it's really horrible.
You gotta take a big old bite.
Right, you gotta think about it every day. But very common strategy for FTOs is to, and they're trying to phase this out, but you'll be driving, you know, and keep in mind the radio's going off. You're still getting used to the radio.
Right.
You're still getting used to a lot of the other patrol tactics, and your FTO is just sitting over there like, and he'll ask you a question. He'll say, you know, what's our policy on da 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 da? And you're over there thinking like you're driving to a call, you know, so you're making turns, and he'll just what's this? And he'll say, stop the car, and you'll stop, and he'll go, I'm shot. Where are we? And you're like,
shit. United States.
So, you know, and they'll be like, oh, you don't know what street we're on? So I'm dead now, and you don't know what street we're on. And he'll say, how about this? How about you get out of the car, you walk until you find a street sign, you come back and tell me where we're at. And that's how it used to be done. Because you got to know where you're at.
Yeah.
And, I mean, seriously, that's a tactic that was used for generations, and it works. It works. But more importantly than that, okay, sending people like in a jail to go find the handcuff extenders, you know. They'll go do it, but so they'll look for.
I would look
for the
day
record,
and night.
For the record, I've
I
never
would look
sent
for
anyone
so
for
long.
handcuff extenders.
But okay, you know, you send them for a dorm that doesn't exist to deliver a note. The thing is, there is intrinsic value in that. There is value in it. You're
knowing
seeing,
that it's not a.
Well, you're seeing how they react.
Well, yeah, that too.
You're testing the person to see, can you handle this joke? Because I got to know if you can handle a joke. If you're going to be working with me, I got to know where your head's at.
Yeah.
You know, so like we joked a lot when we first met. And,
hi.
you know, but did that not make your life easier? Because you've got a sense of humor, and some people didn't.
Well, do you remember the first time we met?
Yes, I do.
A little NSFW.
We kissed.
He kissed me.
You want to talk about
Dude,
Yeah.
you kissed him?
Yeah.
Dude, I guess if you want to meet me,
Be prepared
I'll
to be
kiss
kissed.
Hey, that's Zero Dawn, or whatever it is. It's a hunting kind of.
But
You're hunting robot dinosaurs.
inside of law enforcement, and in particular, military, and also there's a lot of stress.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. Yes.
And when you're joking with someone, and you joke in ways that, and I even found out in like hospitals, the medical field, very similar too.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Where it's high stress, you develop a sense of humor that is inappropriate.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Very inappropriate.
There's the a morbid sense of humor. There's the deadpan, you know, I can't think of the exact word, gallows humor.
Yeah.
But you do that to deal
Dry.
with,
It's very dry, too.
You have to do
often.
that to deal with the stresses. I think in law enforcement, though, you have a different aspect of it where people are actively in your face trying to make you feel uncomfortable to see if you'll back down.
Yeah, that'd be super annoying.
And
Well, you dealt with it. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
And so,
But like,
whether on the road, but especially in a jail setting.
I feel like it's
Especially
different
as a
in
new
jail,
officer.
though.
It's different. Oh, yeah,
Way
it's different.
than just being out and about.
Yeah. People get in your face and see if you're going to back down, see if you're going to flinch. It's con games.
And the answer is no.
Well,
I will not.
And they say things because they're literally a captive audience. Where
Learned a thing or two from LT.
they have nothing to do but to
Remember.
try and get you upset, lose your cool, so then they can use that against you later, either get you in trouble, get you fired, or manipulate you in some way.
Well,
So if you can't handle a joke from me,
Right.
and I'm your friend, how are you going to handle a joke on the same situation from an inmate, and you're going to lose your cool, and you're going to get you in trouble? So
Yeah.
a lot
weeds
of
out
what we
the
do,
soft.
it weeds out soft, but it also increases, it tests your
camaraderie,
comfort
too.
level. It's your comfort level. It makes you used to being uncomfortable, and so therefore you're able to resist it more when the time comes.
Well, there was a master of this, was Castilla. When he wanted to be. But he would say, I just want to be your friend. They'd be like cussing him out. And I just want to be your friend. Can we just be friends? But seriously, he was real good at kind of deflecting that.
Yeah.
I've stole that from him a lot.
Yeah. Well, also,
I steal things.
like the distraction technique, we just walk up. We used to walk up to each other and just run our hand down each other's faces. The first time that happens, you're like, "What is going on?
What's happening?"
What are you doing? You're not. Nobody used to just random people touching your
Don't
face.
Don't
move.
That's what we do. And there was other issues that I won't go into because
I'll stop when I'm finished.
but it's
pretty gay.
It's
Just like, as a whole, I've never been more gay, but not gay.
but it's making you intentionally feel uncomfortable, so that whenever in a real life situation you're feeling uncomfortable, it doesn't affect you as much. It's so you can react properly and not freeze up. Because if an inmate comes up and just grabs you, you need to know what to do.
But I think a big part of it is the internal group testing. It is.
Well, in these fields where there's higher stress, you have a greater camaraderie and brotherhood. Even the military, it's described as a brotherhood. Law enforcement is described as a brotherhood. Firefighters is described as a brotherhood.
It's a relationship.
But
firefighters describe it as a relationship. Welcome to the relationship.
And then, ER personnel, it's going to be more of a sisterhood because they're nurses.
I just picture like John.
I pictured a bunch
Conway.
of nuns in the ER. Like,
I have a good friend that's a nurse, and I picture like I'm going to send this to him now and tell him to go to like.
Is he a candy
like
strapper?
you got to watch. No. He'd be a good one though. He'd be a real good one, man. But yes,
I agree. Though.
yes.
All about pushing your
On all of
boundaries
the
and
above.
pushing your comfort levels, so that way, when the time comes, you can act appropriately.
Yeah, it's crazy that like all these hazing rules and stuff like that are being created because of soft people
No, I mean
that don't have a place in a stressful environment like that anyway.
Yes.
So I guess
I
it's
agree.
kind of a way to just kind of like
Now, some people would do things maliciously.
yeah.
Like some old, like frat houses.
Well, yeah, there are definitely some things
that were too far and were done maliciously and whatever.
could not be done
Right.
But
and have no rhyme or reason, except for it's really fun.
Well, I think there's another. Not to go too far into this
in the
now.
military, did you ever send someone after the Humvee keys?
Dude, I've done. I sent a lot of people off to do a lot of stuff.
That wasn't real.
No.
So
Well,
yeah.
I think there's a bigger issue here, and that's there's definitely a war, like an ideology war,
Yeah.
and I don't think for a second that it's people worried about being offended. I think they're using the being offended because a lot of people are like, hey, we should, like for instance, it's a trend. Statues are a problem all of a sudden. They weren't before. But you ever notice that that LGBTQ, it keeps growing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason
BGTQ plus
right.
RZ.
But the reason it keeps growing is because there's no standard to it, and everyone is a victim.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's a victim of something.
That's the problem.
If I dissect you socially enough, I can find a place where you or your ancestors were victimized at some point, and you're going to tack your little, letter on there because we can all be victims at some point.
Well, have you seen that Louder with Crowder?
I'm stealing this.
That Louder with Crowder episode where him and his, I guess, producer, not gay Jared or whatever his name is, they go to supposed to be a workshop, but it turns out to be a protest, and it was for the LGBTQ transgender whatever.
Plus.
And they just, they made them so, they filled out the application, and even on the application it's asking your sexuality. Pansexual is one thing, and
you like pans,
and asexual, and all this random stuff, and they were just making stuff up. But it was just, they were talking about on there. Or other, and it was like, well, it didn't list what I was. Oh yeah, they were like falling all over each other to apologize, but that they excluded someone, and it's like. But
here's the thing: it's
ridiculous.
I truly do not have any problems with that. I have a problem when it becomes compelled.
Yeah.
When it's fine for you to do whatever you want to do. Yeah. When you start telling me that I have to say or accept, like for instance, go back to this Merry Christmas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyone that wants to say that should be allowed to say that.
Yeah, right. I agree.
And if you're Jewish or Muslim or whatever, it's fine. Just don't say it back. I'm good with that. I don't know where we got in this mentality that it's not okay to be offended. Well, that's why I tell everyone. I say there'll be an argument on Facebook, and I got into a good one recently, and I think I held my own pretty good with it. But in the end, like if there's Halloween costumes, that's what this was about.
Yeah.
Some people dressed up as Native Americans. I don't know if you saw that. I got into a massive argument.
Was it like the frat? No, there was a frat that dressed up like black people or something.
Well, no, this was Native Americans. But I was like, I wanted to say
that was kind of
the frat was doing probably what I saw was a pimps and hoes party.
Yeah.
And then, but the recent Native American one was Hillary Duff dressed up as a pilgrim, and her husband
this was like a local Indian. This was a local college.
But like here.
Yeah, but my thing is, why does it matter that anyone is offended? Why?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm offended by stuff all the time. And I don't.
But you're an adult and you can handle it.
Exactly, but I'm saying, why does it matter?
It's weak people.
Just weak.
Listen, I'm all for. To be a member of polite society, I'm not going to walk up and intentionally offend someone.
But that's polite. I know where this is going. You know what I'm about to say this.
But
I'm all for that.
And I'm all for that. So I'm not going to... But if I wore a shirt that says...
You guys said...
don't tread on me. Or if I wore one that said, had a Trump Make America Great Again. Or even if I wore an Obama Change We Can Hope For shirt. I'm not trying to offend anyone. Okay? But that's what people are saying is like, I don't know if you saw the video where a guy was walking across campus and he had a red hat that said "Make America Great Again."
He was attacked.
Someone was attacked. Yeah, he was attacked. It was ripped off his head, and this woman just going absolute insane and berserk on him, and took it to like a safe spot in the campus where it was. I guess it was the
free speech zone.
Yeah, free or something. It was the student council, and she was wanting to make it to where you can't. He was just asking for his hat back, and she was
going
off saying that she was offended by the hat and wanted him dealt with and all this other. It was just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Now
I mean, imagine if it had been, and this. Imagine if the shoe was flipped. If someone had a Black Lives Matter hat and you jerked it off their head.
Yeah.
Never fly. Oh, and there's a lot of that hypocrisy. Like, for instance, I was at an event working in uniform, okay? And a girl was walking up behind me. Now, I didn't see her at all. And as she walked by me, she put her arm on my shoulder. And she rubbed her arm kind of slowly all the way down my arm, all the way to my hands. She held my hands and she like slowly broke. And I'm like, she's walking by me. I'm like looking at her. She looks back at me and she says, "Love your tattoos." Now, two things. A guy could never do that to a girl.
Hell no.
Never.
Not in a million years.
Not in a million years. It happens to me all the time. Now imagine this. A guy doing that to a uniformed police officer.
A girl,
a female
dude.
police officer. She'd probably tase him. I mean, I say that. She would definitely react a lot harder. I was just like, okay, have a good day.
Probably take him to the ground at least.
Yeah, but my thing is, it happens to me on a weekly basis, some form of this. I've had girls grab my butt. I've had two girls have kissed me in the last week. On duty. Just walked up and kissed me on the cheek.
Oh.
But if a guy did these things, and here's the truth of it, I'm not offended by it.
Yeah.
But I am offended by the hypocrisy of it. Because I guarantee if I did it to them in a reverse situation, there'd be a problem with it.
Big problem.
Well, see, if you were in uniform and did that, then they would file.
They'd sue the department.
All
it was worth.
Misconduct in office and all this other stuff. That it would be hell to pay. Literally,
it's not fair. Yeah, and it's fine. I'm okay with it not being fair. But my issue is you can't have it both ways. Mm-hmm. It's wrong. It's totally not okay. And don't make a fuss about it when a guy looks at you. Like guys get in trouble for looking at women just with their eyes.
You walk around with blinders.
And that's harassment. But what happens to me is not harassment because I'm a guy.
Yeah.
And that's Now there is some reality to that. I don't think that men should walk around. I'm not saying that we should.
Hold on. Perfect example. Teacher sleeping with students.
Oh yeah.
A male teacher sleeps with a female student. Mm-hmm. He goes away to prison for years, decades even.
Okay.
A female teacher, well, longer than just 3 or 4 years. Female teacher sleeps with multiple male students, gets probation.
Well, hold on now.
And the reaction from media and everywhere else is, dang, where was she when I was in school?
Well, let me ask you this.
The mentality is women are victims, men are not.
Do you not think there is a little bit of truth to that in that case?
In what way?
Let me unpack this because it's going to sound... I think there is a moral difference there between a male teacher and a female teacher sleeping with... Hear me out.
Okay.
The female teacher, though she is breaking a law and though she is a little bit crazy, I do not think she is a predator. Whereas I would say the guy, the male teacher sleeping with a young female student, is more of a predatory mindset.
I would disagree.
You don't think it's the same?
No.
I think it would be hard to say.
Because this is the thing.
Because it's all about the intentions of the person.
I would still say the young student could be the predator in the female teacher situation. The young guy could actually be the predator.
True. But also, I think the young girl could also be a predator.
I don't think women at that age are typically looking for a sexual relationship.
I don't know.
I think they're looking for another type of...
Because there are, like let's say it's like a senior in high school, and the teacher, just got out of college.
But she's looking for an emotional experience, probably.
Probably.
Again, it's not a general thing. I'm just saying, generally speaking, I think there's a difference in those two teachers.
In general, it's, as you go through puberty and everything, and even in adult, men do focus more on the sexual, physical side. Women look for more of an emotional connection.
Right.
It's women need to feel an emotional connection before they can get physical. Men need to feel physical before they can get emotional.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That generally. I think it's you're looking at two different. It's like this. And they're both bad. I'm not defending either one of these. They're both bad. But look at adult rape versus child molesters. Okay, both are horrible. One I think is common. I think there's a lot more child molesters than we want to admit. Mm-hmm. There are very few rapists. And when I say rapist, I mean an adult raping an adult. Okay, because that's a different. A child molester is looking for an opportunity.
Yeah,
he's not bold. A rapist
they snatch people.
Is a monster. They're both monsters, but that's a guy who will physically beat a woman until he can have his way with her.
Yeah.
Those are different types of predators. Is my
well, and
is
it's
my
different.
point.
In that way, a rapist
cowardly.
isn't
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for sexual. That's just the way they're looking for control
Right.
and
Yes.
the power, and then they get off on that. So I think their motivations are different. But back to the teachers, what I would say is, I would say the females are just as guilty as the males, in the sense that as a female teacher, as a 14, 13-year-old boy, you have all these feelings and emotion or whatever, physical, you're changing. Mostly any female that comes up to you could seduce you, in theory.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any female. Now, a 13-year-old boy walking up cannot take advantage of a 30-year-old.
Right. Yes.
So therefore, the teacher and the female teacher is a predator, preying on the weakness of the boy. Okay?
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know, man. I think that I can see it, but I'm saying in general, I think most of the younger boys are going to be. I just don't see them as
It would be more of like
being
a
forced.
like a milestone type of thing.
Like here, okay. Let me rephrase it.
But and this is the thing: the females aren't being forced either. The girls are rarely in those situations. The girls are saying it was non-consensual.
Here's what I'm
The
saying.
thing is, the age of consent. 13-year-old, male or female, does not have the wherewithal, and they're not of the age of consent.
Here's what I'm saying. I
they're
think the
taking
boys
the
are,
adult is taking advantage regardless.
but the boys are getting what they're wanting, whereas the girls, I don't think are after, like I said, the sexual relationship.
Well-
they're like, they think this
They
guy's
try
like,
to get the
it's like
emotional.
a father
that's
figure
fine.
to him, or all kinds of
Or
weird
whatever.
psychological.
Well, they're getting the emotional,
yeah.
and just because, and then it ends up on. But once they get the emotional, I guarantee you, if you look at these situations, the female is getting the emotional relationship for much longer, or much before the physical
Oh
actually
yeah,
takes place.
definitely.
So the girl's getting what she wants, and then I believe.
I don't think the male teacher is going to be giving her an emotional. She's going to think it's there.
I would say he would, because I would think he would.
Maybe. I don't know.
They're giving them, whether it's the father figure they want or what, but I guarantee you'll find the girl is.
I think the
a lot of
girl's
time-
receiving it, but I don't think the guy's trying to give that to her. He's not.
Well, I mean, it's not like he's consciously, I'm going to be a father figure. It's, a situation that happens. But she's receiving what she's after, and then the relationship naturally progresses to a sexual. Because that happens as adults. If someone's looking for an emotional relationship, say a woman who's married and she's not getting the emotional relationship from her husband, she's going to seek it outside.
Yeah.
And if she gets it
And vice versa.
from someone else, then naturally, regardless, even if it's just like, he's just a really good friend, he understands me, he gets me.
Because that's what they're
whatever
looking
else.
for. That's what comes first.
That's what it comes for. Eventually, that regardless, given any opportunity, that relationship will culminate in a sexual relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's just
He makes
the
me
same
laugh.
thing.
I always look for the
Just-
he makes me laugh.
Oh,
That's how I know it's
yeah.
about to go
That's
bad.
the thing. If a guy can make a woman laugh, he is well
If-
on his way to
if-
getting
If
anything he
yeah,
wants from
if my girl came home and she was like, "Dude, I saw the hottest dude," I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, babe. I'm playing video games." But if she came home and she was like, "I met a guy and he makes me laugh," I'd be
He
like,
was the funniest.
"Where is he? Where is this guy? This funny man?
Yeah.
I want to meet this funny man."
Or you hear him on the phone giggling,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Whoa.
I know that giggle.
I don't that giggle. I know what precedes that giggle.
Shut it
Who
down.
are you talking to? Get off the phone now. You're calling AT&T. I'm canceling this phone.
Yeah. There's no laughing here.
Here's a phone card. You can call me if you need anything. That's the only person you're allowed to talk to now.
Yeah, there's no laughing here. So, well, we all survived the Antifa war.
Thank the Lord.
I just
We will rebuild. I think I have some some leaves in my yard from it. I'll rake those up.
Yeah.
And you know,
that might have just been nature. We don't know.
I just figured it was from all the hot air.
We made it.
Around.
So I don't know how many casualties we had from that. But,
well,
there was like 8 protesters in like what was it? I forget what city. I think 8's like the largest group, maybe. But
very scary.
I was mortified. Mortified. Did you see Anonymous like declared war on them? You know what Anonymous is? The hacker group. They declared war on Antifa.
Really?
Yeah, they like said they were going to attack all their websites and everything.
Nice.
Well, I think it was released that the reason what happened with the war was that most of the Antifa members were grounded by their parents, so they couldn't come out, and
they were stuck in their
rooms. And they refused to give them a ride to the mall where they were supposed to meet up, and so they were stuck and had to make their own hot pockets.
Oh my god!
They just didn't know where to go. They were confused by the microwave.
Poor
they
kids.
missed it.
So, pop quiz.
Oh damn.
Who knows what Nazism means?
Nazism?
Like, what is the Nazi part? What does that mean? What does Nazi mean?
Oh.
You should know this.
Yeah, it's the national.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like an acronym.
National Society, national something. I can't think of what the last part is.
The National Socialist Party,
Socialist Party, yeah.
Or Nazis. So, I just saw. I think Crowder did a little bit on this, but there's a lot of people going to campus. You know, they'll ask like students like if they know all these things because they're very for socialism. Bernie Sanders, but they're very against Nazis. But they don't understand that Nazis are socialists.
Well, they're calling Well, you had the white supremacists march, and they, claim to be Nazis, but they're really not.
Well, I don't. I think again, I see that stuff, and I can't help but think false flag. But okay, if you tell me there's a lot of, there are not a lot, but there are some people that identify with the Nazi Party, neo-Nazis. Sure, I believe that is true. For instance, there's a lot of Ku Klux.
Identified with the Nazi Party.
There's a lot of Ku Klux Klan members. They're called Democrats. So, well, they did. There was a Democratic Party. The Ku Klux Klan founded the Democrat. Well, a Democrat founded the Ku Klux Klan, and have been against civil rights ever since. But I got into an argument, and it was also part of that Halloween costume argument, talking about socialism. And here's one thing I've gotten into is the Nazis killed a very large amount of people, but nothing in the spectrum of communism. Communism killed over 100 million people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Hitler doesn't even shake a stick at that, and people, they look at socialism, or I'm sorry, they look at Nazis, and they're like, this is the worst.
Yeah.
What they don't understand is that the systems they support, of communism and socialism, are far worse. I mean, they've killed far worse.
I think where people would say there's a difference, Nazis actively murdered people. Communism just set up.
Well, not all of them were starvation kids. No, they killed. Communism set up work camps just like Nazis. They purged them just like Nazis. Here's the difference: Nazis killed other people.
Right.
Communism killed their own people. Okay, Nazis' ideas sound absolutely horrible. Like, they're black, they're Jew, let's hate them. Communism sounds really good. So to me, if you wear a swastika, I'm really afraid of your ideology. But if you say, I believe in equity, I'm really afraid of your ideology. Because that's what the problem is. These people that like Marxist ideas that come around and they say like, well, what we need to strive for is equality. That's dangerous. Well, that's where the communists and Marxists come in, and they killed all these people in the name of,
Well, they want equality at the end.
That's
not
equity.
Equality at the beginning.
Right, equity. That's the difference. Equality is the word they use. What they mean is equity, and that's extremely dangerous.
Because you're only going to get what you get out of something what you put into it.
Right.
And they're wanting to guarantee everyone have the same result regardless of what you put into it. Well, common sense says eventually nobody's going to put anything into it.
Well, I've always used my favorite analogy for a lot of things because being in MMA, I also relate this to MMA a lot, to fighting. But if you got 6 people sitting at a poker table and they play poker for an hour, or let's say 6 hours, do you think it's probably likely that a few players are going to hold a majority of the money at this point? Yeah. A few players are probably going to be out of the game.
Yeah.
And if you went back in and you said, well, these 3 players hold over 70% of all the money on the table now. We're going to redistribute it evenly. What do you think the chances of those exact same players holding the money if they play 6 more hours?
Highly likely.
Yeah, very highly likely. Because here's the thing. Some people are better than others at money.
Yeah.
And they're going to accrue it. So no matter what you do, they're going to get the money again because they're good at the game. And that's why the same people go to the World Poker, the championships, the World Poker Tour, year after year, because they are. It's not luck; they're actually playing better.
They're good, yeah.
And,
well, that's why you know the name Doyle Brunson.
Yeah,
if you know poker. Now, there are some that may win and you never hear from again, or it's and so yeah.
Well, Fortune 500 companies change all the time.
Right. But when you're going to learn who's at the top of their field. And it's no mistake that, say, athletes that become stars. I watched a video, I posted it, and it's a comedian talking about how it's hard raising an athlete in a 2-parent home. And he's making a joke about it, but he's like, because the kids get too much of what they want. They got video games inside, they got cable, we got air conditioning. I'm like, you'll go outside and practice basketball. And they're like, but it's too hot out there.
Dude, I used to play sticks. That was like, we'd go outside and stick fight. Like, you and me would have killed each other. Like we'd grown up in close proximity. Dude, I had a friend and we would stick fight. And I don't know how I have both eyes. I just don't. I don't understand it. Statistically, I do not understand it. I used to, get this. This is how I knew I was.
Did you ever wear a helmet when you rode your bicycle?
Nope.
Never.
I didn't even wear shoes.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, this is how I realized I became a bitch. Because I was somewhere and I had my shoes off and I was walking on gravel. And I was like, it's hard. I used to be able to run
all day,
full speed on gravel. I can't even walk carefully on gravel now. Like, I'm bitch made. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, we're used to shoes. It's true. I mean, I don't know.
Niceties are making
it blows me away, man. Now I just play video games. I'm like,
make podcasts.
Shoot. This is why I like guns. I can't fight anymore.
Right?
No.
You don't need
I like guns. I'm too fat to run.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to shoot you. And be
We
done
know.
with it.
We know.
You could run a distance.
Yeah, you
can run downhill.
Start rolling.
Hey, listen.
I bet you I'll still be.
I hate running.
Dude, I can't. I hate running. Absolutely.
Me
You
too.
were talking about running.
I despise running.
You hated it the whole time you were in the Marines.
Oh man.
Wait. All right. So tell what you used to do to not have to run fast. Do you remember the story you told me?
Oh yeah.
So listen to this.
So you run in formation whenever you do PT with your platoon and stuff. Well, you run in formation, and some people can't run as fast as the people running PT, so they fall behind, and like pretty far sometimes, and you end up having to circle around and go get them. Well, I would just like slow down with them and like pretend like I'm motivating them, so I didn't have to run.
You'd be like, what would you say to them?
Well, like, it's not that like the running was difficult. But, like...
You hated it.
I didn't want to do it, so...
Yeah.
Just slow down. Come on, man, you can do it. You gotta get up there. Come on, you gotta run up there with everybody else.
As you stroll briskly.
Yeah, I'm just like... everyone's, like, way up there. They end up circling around and coming to get us. I'm just like, yeah.
Fucking dumbass.
Joke's on you.
Well, yeah. I, in PE, in my, I guess, 7th, 8th grade year, we had PE every day. And, Tuesdays, Thursdays were fitness days. So I was running.
Oh, no.
Either run a mile, run cross countries, do whatever.
I'll run my mouth.
And I've always been a bigger guy. So the coach told me, because he'd grade you by your time. You get a check plus, or check minus.
Yeah.
Just for completing it, but then under whatever time.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like your grade is dependent on how fast you run?
But so he told me and one or two other bigger guys, goes, if you just, run the whole time, which is basically a jog.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't stop and walk.
Which is harder than you would
check
think.
plus.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I can do that. So we're sitting there and we're running laps. The first, it's like a 4-lap mile track. The first lap, okay, I can do that. Well, the second one, I'm like, this is tired. So what I would do,
sucks.
It was. So what I would do is I got to where I was like, if I was on the far end of the track, I would walk, but I would like jostle my shoulders like I was jogging. And he never caught on.
So at the police academy, there were they would split us up into 4 groups, I think, right? So you had like your A+ group, the guys who were just like track stars.
Yeah.
And that's what we timed. The time it took them to run like the whole course, it's a long course, and come back was the time that everyone else had to run. Now, Group A would run the same course, but not as fast. Group B would run like, I want to say almost the whole course and come back. And then there's Group C would run half, come back. C- is where I did.
Very nice.
So C- was you would just run in a small area right near, because they didn't want you to be like out yonder all day trying to get back. So they would just let you run in a track and
run around these 3 cars.
Well, so they would pick the parking, the employee parking. That's where they'd have you do this. So there's cars everywhere, right? So we'd all start running down there, and one of the cadre would run with us. Okay. So the guys who were really shitbags, like I say shitbags, the ones who really didn't want to run, they had this like very intricate system of warnings, because there's only one cadre down there.
Yeah.
And he would every now and then change direction to like make sure we're all running, right? They would hide in these cars. They would be like hiding in between them, and when he would come, they would like kind of run outside, out there running. He'd pass them, they'd duck back in. It was just they were doing more. They were putting more effort into not running than running. Like, I was just kind of like running the whole time, but it was hilarious watching them. It was hilarious watching them. Because it's like he did. All you got to do is like move your shoulder. I mean, I was slowly jogging the entire time, and they would come out and just like, it was hilarious. Just hiding from the cadre.
It's hilarious.
But,
yeah, I think that's where integrity comes
That's where police. No, that's where we learn to improvise. Okay,
Okay.
Integrity was.
That's the word. I knew it was one of those words.
Integrity was a different part of the class, but no, they would do whatever they could to.
Looks like someone's out past their curfew.
Get it? Oh man!
Gotta get permission to stay out. But
hey,
can I hang out with my friends?
She's good to him. I understand why you asked.
Can I, please?
Yeah. So
I did all my chores.
Real quick, shout out to Right Direction Rings on. You've seen those rings, right? So Right Direction Rings, he makes rings out of coins. They're very high quality. He makes them from mostly silver. They don't, these are not like the kind of rings that are going to turn your skin colors and stuff, guys. They're made from coins. He can make them from coins of your state, of your choosing, different finishes, and he does really, really good work. So check him out, Right Direction Rings, all one word, on Instagram. If you follow the Drakecast, I actually have a few pictures of the products he sent me. So very happy with them. Make sure you check that out. We're probably we're right at it. So next time on the show, we're gonna have owner and operator of Black Dragon Kennels, JB Bryant. He's a good friend of mine. He's gonna come talk about not only dog work and having a working dog, but he's gonna talk a little bit about some other things. Real interesting character. She grounds you.
Yeah.
Do you have to make your own hot pockets? No?
Yeah. No breakfast for you. But we got Sakuraba a little bit over a year ago. She's been a blessing. There's a lot of videos of her doing her thing.
Good dog.
We had to have where I live is kind of the Drake house is isolated, so it's just me. And I need a dog because there's bears out there, and just having a dog kind of lets you know where dangers might be. And if we actually were legitimately attacked, I would feel like Sakuraba would be an asset. She's a monster. So check her videos out. Again, JB Bryant's going to be here to talk about if you're considering maybe getting a dog, or if you're just wanting to know a little bit about how they're trained. He'll be here talking about that and lots of gun stuff. He loves guns.
Me too.
Who doesn't love
So that's going to be interesting. You know who we need to get?
I'll have to come to that one. When is that one?
We don't know. We're not putting a date on it.
Is he going to talk about Rugers and shit?
Good
Lord.
Hey, he loves the SR9.
The
SR9.
Got the SR9 my Tula ammo.
I want to get a high point expert on the show and talk about how
he's gonna
use
get
high
you
points
for
to
saying that.
drive nails.
I hope he does,
dude. He's
because what sucks is like
he's good with it. He's good.
They work. Okay,
yeah.
They shoot. They just suck. I don't know how to answer that question. Like they will shoot. High points will shoot.
Yeah,
but doesn't make me want one.
It's like a gremlin car.
He's gonna get you. I already
get you to work.
He's watching this and he's like, "All right." He's gonna bring all 10 of his SR9s over here.
Oh, man.
He's got he let me borrow his CZP-10, and I got to shoot it. And
I like them.
I gotta say this out of the box. Well, I was like, holy shit, this is an amazing gun. Like, just dry firing it in the house. I was like, trigger's good, everything's good. I could not hit anything.
Really?
I don't know what. I don't know if it was me.
Yeah, sure. You just
that's
can't
not
shoot.
surprising.
Bro, it was the same day I was out shooting my Jericho.
Yeah.
And a Glock 19, and I was shooting fine. I got a hold of CCP-10. I was excited. Because I didn't want to be better than a Glock, and I was like, up to shooting it, I was like, it's looking pretty good, I don't know if it was just his or if it was just me. I could not hit anything with his gun. And I was shooting great that day. So maybe I need to give that another shot. But he has a CZP-10.
I like them.
Yeah, it's aggressive ass stem point.
Yeah, dude.
It's like it'll hurt your hand. Aggressive.
It's nice.
I don't know. It's real nice. Front slides
Turns you into a man.
It's got a nice round indicator. I mean, it's just all round good.
The controls are a bit stiff at first,
Yeah.
but I hear they break it nice.
Dude, the VP9 I had. So I had the VP9.
Everyone jerks
Yeah.
off on the
Good.
VP9.
Look, my issue though is the mag release. I love it. Everything else about the gun, but mag release. Because when I went back to shooting another gun, I was still
inconsistent.
looking for that bullshit. If it was the only gun you have is a VP9, you have a good gun.
Yeah.
But if you have any other gun, you need to never touch that thing because it will ruin your muscle memory.
Yeah.
Well, and that's all H&Ks have that mag release on the trigger guard, and so if it's,
I wish it was optional.
I wish.
Yeah, if they had, even if they had a conversion, I mean, because
I'd still have my VP9 if it was convert. If I could do that.
I have 2 H&Ks, 1 VP9, 1 USP 45, and that's a big one. But that's the thing. That's where
And a Springfield XD.
Oh.
You have a Springfield?
He has the XDE.
Oh, sorry.
XDS.
The XDE.
My bad.
The hammer fired.
No, XDS.
You got the
Ooh.
XDE. People love it too.
Glock 19.
I got Glock 21
G4.
too.
Yeah, I like the Jericho.
Yeah.
I like the Jericho.
It shot nice.
You know, I'll tell you what Glock will ruin you though is the finish will not rust on Glock.
Mm-hmm.
Every other gun it will. So, but I love it because it's got that baby Desert Eagle, look to it.
You know what will really
pretty cool.
ruin you?
What?
Is a Legion.
See, I had the Elite. I
226.
don't. No. Whatever. I don't care.
I got rid of my Legion
You say
faster
that.
than anything I've ever owned. It shoots nice. It's just like I feel like it's a novelty gun.
It is because I mean I just want more Glock 19s.
Yeah, or you could like double a Glock 19 and get a Glock 34.
I mean, dude, that is a man's gun.
It's a man's gun.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I look at it and why not the 19? It's not that. How much more barrel is this? It's a
Like
lot.
2 inches.
Jesus Christ. It's nice. Are you going to do a stumble or just get
Nah.
selling it?
Well, I'm gonna shoot that one in competitions. I'm just carrying it right now because I will have that light on my 19 and carry it in this holster.
I feel
But
like I can just touch you with the barrel.
just jam.
Just jam it across the room. Like just hit them with the barrel.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I like it. We're also next time I want to talk about a little bit of use of force with JB here. You're gonna try to come for that?
Yeah, depends on what it is.
Yeah, you guys can share. Oh, you can share a mic.
Ooh.
Oh my God,
Y'all
you guys are gonna
y'all
share a
can look
mic.
deeply into each other's
Yeah.
eyes.
I like it.
I want you to. We're gonna talk about
Talk
the
softly
Vegas
to
shooting.
me.
Okay, yeah, I'll be there.
And I want to talk about the in case you guys can check it out, so that you'll see the video I'm talking about before we talk about it. I want to talk about that New York video where the police officer's punching the guy in the back of the head. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
In the back of the head?
Yeah.
There's
Okay,
a guy.
The guy's on top of the officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that
I
because
got you.
I think that is because no one died in that video.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good video to talk about force in because it's not controversial, and then you can apply kind of the concepts we talk about to other. But we'll talk about that, and yeah. Anyway, we need to get to meet this guy. This guy's local.
Get on some mead.
He makes mead. It's really good,
That's cool, dude. We gotta carry some axes and shit.
dude. Vikings.
Grow
This
my-
is this is
grow
really
your
good
beards.
stuff, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Like a honey wine.
Get you
Ish.
proper drunk, you know?
It's a honey
That's
wine.
what a mead is.
But anything? You good? All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I'm not drinking, dude. There's sulfites in here.
You want to say what's the sulfide? All
I
right.
don't know, it's in wine. Apparently that's what gives you headaches when you drink wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
don't
I mean, outside of getting wasted.
I just don't get wasted.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being
How
here.
many are in cheer wine?
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. Huh?
How many of those sulfides are in cheer wine?
All of them. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of the Drakecast. Again, I was joined by my friend Jason, he contributed so much to it, and and my friend Hall of Hall Tech holsters. Back when he'll return one day.
Maybe.
And Hoplite, you better
Step
Better
down.
watch
you
out.
better watch out, dude. I
Because your
want
boy
to.
is coming.
I want to create like a war that's not really a war.
Be funny.
we gotta do something like that, just to mess with him. So,
He makes good holsters, though.
he does. He's great, and he's a great guy. So,
Yeah.
even though he ruined my mental image of all females appendix carrying that video he sent me, but I gotta get permission for him to post that on my Instagram.
He posts it on his.
Not that though.
Yeah, he does.
Does he?
Where he's like trying them on and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
on there.
Yeah.
Just do it anyway.
I'll say Hall Tech made me do this to create kind of the faults of
fault.
war. But all right, you guys stay safe, and we will see you in the next episode.
Next time.